And who's calling?
And we are live.
Is someone calling right now?
Yeah.
Who's calling?
I have no idea.
Bam.
Anyway, tilt your phone down a little bit. There you go. Now I can see you.
Anyways.
There he is. Oh, damn.
I know. Really weird lighting right now going on here.
Why you making the creepy face, dude? We
Wait,
talked about this. We said that you were gonna resist.
As I said though prior,
Resist the face.
this is a constant prank that I play on everybody.
Okay. Holy shit! Your head has been illuminated. Kind of look like the floating head in the Wizard of Oz right now.
Hang on.
I'm messing with my
I'm
my
getting
signal
vertigo.
lights.
Guys, just hold on. Grumpy is, his head's floating around in his house somewhere.
Yeah. Everybody's wondering, yes, I am on my phone, clearly. This is I'm not running around with a laptop in my hand. My mom thought I was on my laptop. I'm like, really? I don't think this is quite looking good on a laptop. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining this week. This is the Bear Thoughts Podcast. We usually do this every Wednesday at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time or
Tilt your phone down.
Eastern Standard Time. Huh?
I said, yeah, tilt your phone down. It keeps rising up to, like, your eyebrows.
I don't see the camera where you have it, so I don't know where to put my head at. I know it's on the top of the screen. I just don't know how much on top of it. Because I got all this down here, but I'm not going any lower.
You're
okay.
good. You're good as long as you keep it right about there.
Okay. All right. So,
there you go. Go ahead.
Okay, for those who are here, you're new to this channel, be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Help us get done. We're at like 222, I think, last time I checked. But yeah, I'm right now in the office, as you can clearly tell. The background looks the same, but I'm on my phone, so this is going to be interesting. Okay, I'm going to put the phone down just like I had last time. Okay, so this week,
There we go.
Project I smashed my. Huh?
Back up just a
There
little
you
bit.
go.
Perfect.
You're perfect.
Perfect. Yay. Been working on projects. My power supply is in. I'm hoping it works because then we stop doing this little weird setup and all that stuff, so I can be a little more hands-on with it. But let's hope it works. Today I've gotten a few things in. Christmas all on the way. So I hope everybody's got their Christmas shopping already done, because I know it's very busy out there. All right, so this week I'm going to go ahead and just jump into the first theme of the night, and I know I asked you to pull it up for me. And Stealthy, since you're here, we'll get you in this conversation. So, you're a woman, so I want to get your opinion on this. Okay, so right now there's a new trend going on. What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
I got him perfect in the frame and everything. Like, that's literally all
She leaned up and adjusted you into the frame perfectly. Don't touch your phone. It's perfect. And then she's like, I wasn't trying to. Oh crap.
I was just trying to get it perfect because it was like so close, and it was like bugging me, and I had to get it like right. And by the way, the sound is good.
Okay. So there's a new trend going on Twitch right now. And again, I'm not here to attack anybody. I'm just pointing this out, Stealthy. So I want to get your opinion on this. So there's a new trend going on. I thought this was Corvo of lately, where girls are shirtless, braless, and they're showing their chest all the way down to just above the nipple. And they're streaming like that. And when they're getting donation, they're jiggling their stuff and making it clap. And I want to get your thoughts whether or not this is, in your opinion, should be or should not be allowed on Twitch.
Okay, so Corvo should have been able to answer this question for me already.
You answering it.
Because he knows exactly how I feel about certain things when it comes in relation to that. If Twitch says no to men doing it, then absolutely the women shouldn't be doing that. Twitch does not stop the men from doing it. Also, there's a cat in one of the kids' rooms.
So what would be the male equivalents to showing the top spot of a desirable area? What would be a man's equivalent? Like, what can a man do that's similar to that?
That's just it. That's what you're not understanding. What I'm trying to get
Uh-huh.
across. To the way that currently society is, the only thing that could be classified as desirable on a man would be the bottom region. Okay,
Yeah,
that is all. Now,
Uh-huh.
think about what I just said. That's kind of not fair to us. And I'm not trying to be an ass, but it really isn't fair because y'all can go fucking topless.
Yeah, no one desires our chest.
You know?
Well,
No. If that was true, there would not be Chippendales with, topless.
Yeah.
So let's not go there. Okay, we're next. All right. So that's my point. Is that they get away with that, and then, granted, I don't agree with it. Mainly, in the sense that I wouldn't do something like that. Okay, that's not something I would do, even before. It's not something I would do. But that does not mean that if a lady feels comfortable enough in her own skin to do it, not to do it. Because, hey, good on them. Okay?
Yeah.
It's not fair for you guys to go around topless and it's hot outside and us not get to do it. It's kind of not fair. So the fact that they're doing it, do I agree with it, considering that there are kids there? Then granted, they shouldn't be, if they have the 18 plus, they shouldn't be clicking that, that they are 18 plus. But even so, there is that risk. They shouldn't be doing it. But at the same time, they don't condone the men for doing it. So...
Yeah. It's definitely a societal point that you bring up. That it normalizes men's chest, but it's demoralizing women's chest because they want to be comfortable with it.
Right.
So in spite for the...
Here's the thing, though. It's okay, sort of, and it's still semi-taboo, to breastfeed your child in public. But if you're not breastfeeding, oh my god. Do you understand? So even if you are breastfeeding, it is still considered taboo. There are places that will kick you out just because you're breastfeeding your child, and you're like, dude, I have nothing else that I can give them. This is what I have. But it took how much effort to get that across?
Yeah, it took a while. And even when you cover up with a towel or a blanket, it didn't really matter because it was just the notion that you're doing that.
Right.
Even
that's
if
the problem.
Covered up, it's like,
the biggest issue, if we're gonna be honest, is society's view of women as sexual objects and not actual people. That is the problem with society.
Okay, so in lieu of this happening in this trend lately, Twitch has now added a policy where not safe for work contents are more laid out in rules and what is and what is not allowed. And they are now allowing more things on Twitch. And Corvo and Stealthy, one of you might have to pull it up for me to get the exact things, so I don't misquote some things here. But I'm gonna give you what I remember, and y'all can correct my thoughts here. The policies are going to be a little more loose and what is and what is not allowed. And I believe like some popular dances like twerking will be allowed on Twitch, and girls that are painting their chests and their bottom will be allowed on Twitch. So under certain circumstances, they're allowed to paint their chests and their bottom. It's not full on nudity, but I'm sure there's like covers for certain areas will be mandatory. And they're getting to the point where it's no longer just we say don't do sexual acts on Twitch to saying, hey, this is a sexual act you can do. We're making the rules more like cut dry rather than just a loosey goosey trend comes about, we say yay or nay. It's not going to be like, this is what you're allowed to do, and anything outside of this scope will be no. And, and I don't know if that's really a good thing, but I think that's going to be good. I think Twitch should be more upfront on what they're allowing on Twitch. My biggest problem with on Twitch was never really fully the sexual act, where if you were adult, you can watch it. I never had a problem with adults. I just didn't want kids to see it. But if you were a streamer playing a video game, let's say Genshin Impact, it should be about Genshin Impact and the community and the game and the commonality, not about the girls or guys' sexuality, right? In a sense of, do you find me attractive? Come to my OnlyFans page and buy the description there to see my rest.
It got changed recently.
So what I've pulled up as of December the 15th is the sexual content update.
That where they did what you said. They removed it because they immediately did exactly what you were saying, and they basically they abused the rule.
Yes.
And so it has now, it's no longer allowed unless it's a mature content game.
So basically, here I'll read it. Yes. On Wednesday, we updated the sexual content policy. For a primary goal in making these updates was to make our guidelines easier to understand and enforce. Part of this update included changes to how we treat fictionalized nudity. For years, though user voice and in conversations, we heard from artists that our content policies were limiting. In making this update, we were trying to be responsive to these requests and allow the thriving artist community on Twitch to utilize human form in their art. First, we want to make it clear that some streamers, in response to this update, created content that was in violation of our new policy. We worked quickly to remove the content and issue channel enforcements. However, there has also been a great deal of new content that was allowed under the updated policy. Much of that content created has been met with community concern. These are concerns we share. Upon reflection, we have decided that we went too far with this change. Digital depictions of nudity presents a unique challenge. AI can be used to create realistic images, and it can be hard to distinguish between digital art and photography. So, effective immediately today, we are rolling back the artistic nudity changes. Moving forward, depictions of real or fictional nudity won't be allowed on Twitch, regardless of the medium. This restriction does not apply to mature rated games. You can find emote specific standards for nudity and sexual content in the emote guidelines. We aren't making other changes to the updated sexual content policy. We are in the process of pushing out updates to our community guidelines that reflect this change. This will take a few days for both this blog and other new community guidelines to be translated. While I wish we could have predicted this outcome, part of our job is to make adjustments and serve the community. I apologize for the confusion that this update caused.
Okay, so that is okay. So there was two parts to the new policy. We might have to go find the old one, because that was on the VTuber policy changes they were doing. Because there was a lot of VTubers that were having digital characters, not nudity, but very close to it, or they had a lot of jiggle physics to these characters. And they were getting in trouble for these characters being drawn in those certain ways, which they said, okay, well, as long as it's all drawn and digital, it doesn't really matter. So you can go all out. We didn't care. I guess they changed.
Okay, so here's one from December the 13th. Yeah, and it's called Updating Our Approach to Sexual Content and content classification labels.
Okay. Yeah, this one should be it.
We have received consistent feedback from streamers that our current policies around sexual content and are confusing and that can be difficult to know how their content will be interpreted based on these policies. We want streamers to feel confident that they understand our rules and viewers to feel confident that they get the experience they expect. To accomplish this, we are making 2 changes effective today: streamlining policies regarding sexual content and updating criteria used for homepage recommendations. Streamlining sexual content policy. To be effective, policies need to be easy to understand so that a streamer knows what is allowed on the site and what is not allowed. Part of the confusion comes from the fact that there are currently 2 separate policies in the community guidelines that address sexual content. There is also an additional section in the content classification guidelines that describes when a streamer needs to label their content as including sexual themes. Going forward, the sexual suggestive content and sexually explicit content policies will be consolidated into a single sexual content policy within the community guidelines. These policies specifies the types of sexual content that are prohibited on Twitch, and violating this policy will result in account enforcement. When consolidating these 2 policies, we remove portions of the sexual suggestive content policy that closely resembled the language in the content classification guidelines. The guidelines explaining what content needed a sexual theme label were not distinct enough from the language in the sexual suggestive content policy and made them difficult to follow. We launched content classification labels, CCL, back in June in recognition that some content is allowed on our service may not be suitable for all audience. We believe that accurate content labeling is key to helping the viewers get the experience they expect, and now that we can enable appropriate labeling for sexual content using the CCLs, we believe that some of the restrictions in our former policies are no longer required. In addition to providing clarity, these updates will also reduce the risk of inconsistent enforcement and bring our policy more in line with other social media services. The FAQ below provides high-level summary of some of the changes and can be found in the policy language, including detailed examples of prohibited content on the Safety Center. Content recommendations for the homepage. That's not the same thing. Share your feedback. So essentially what they did is they took the 2 policies, they combined them, took out some of the language that overlapped and was confusing everybody, and was saying, okay, now that we've created these labels and we can break them out, we're going to allow some stuff we weren't, but we're going to hard enforce the things that we're saying no to.
Yeah. There's certain parts on there that talks about popular dances, no longer showing 18 plus. Like if you labeled your stream 18 plus or it's marked as 18 plus, it will no longer show on the homepage. If you're like a brand new person to Twitch, or you're a parent checking out what your kids looking at, you go to the homepage, you won't see a girl right there or a guy right there doing some sexual activities right on the front page. So that's no longer be visible. You have to, of course, be click that you want to see it, and they're going to be enforcing, like, hey, if you are not labeling your stream as 18 plus and you're doing 18 plus activities, you will be in trouble. You will be breaking the guidelines, and at some point they will permanently mark your channel as 18 plus if you continually break the guidelines. And if you're not doing 18 plus, you can check yourself out of it. And I think that's a good thing. Now, some people are saying, and this is one person's argument, is why they think it's okay. It's like, hey, if you are looking for sexual things, you're looking for sexual things. And if you're looking for video games, you're looking for video games. You're not looking for both. And like I said before, I never really had truly a problem with it. The only problems I had is if kids saw it, and or if it was in categories doing sexual acts in categories that did not
Okay,
fit that,
I
like
can
playing video
disprove that point right here with a simple
games.
video game name: Bayonetta.
Mm,
Nobody goes and hunts Bayonetta down just because they want video game or just because she's hot. They want to see both. They want to see a sexualized video game if you're hunting Bayonetta down. So
mm,
the fact that they're saying you're looking for one or the other is bullshit.
yes. Um, but you know, at the same time, I don't like.
I
I don't
don't play
remember back
Bayonetta
in
without wanting
this
to do
is
the sexualized stuff.
Well,
Is it funny though?
no,
Yes.
that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's a difference in playing the game. Like, I want to play the game because it's fun. But people that
yes,
are watching it, a lot of people that are watching it are looking for a video game, a nice video game, something fun to watch, but they want to see a sexy woman. They want to see those sexy moments, you know.
That's not why they watch God of War, but you know.
No, it's not. But the point is,
It's got its stuff too.
the-
I mean, we're not gonna lie about that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, come on,
Let's be honest.
Kratos be knocking stuff off the nightstand.
With Aphrodite.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
So,
But the point is that you don't go look for a game. Some people don't. It's not. You can't say all people are either looking for one or the other because that's not how it works. There are people out there that look for both. That's
Yes.
just how it is. You can't. That argument doesn't hold water from the standpoint that he may be right about some people, but it's not all people. Ergo, the argument is foul. It's not worth anything because there are people that do it.
yes. No, there may be little. There's still people that do it. And my thing is back when I was first started streaming, there was a big thing about girls doing like let's say from my screen point of view, like this big of a camera, like even smaller than that of the game, right? And the rest of them would be of the girl wearing very
Provocative.
alluring clothing.
Provocative.
Yeah, provocative. And it wasn't about the game, it was about her. Even though you saw the game in a very, very small section, that was a big thing going on for a long time. And in my opinion, like, if you're going to play a game, let it be about the game's community, be about the game itself, about how you enjoy it, and then have conversations about how much you're loving this passion of a video game, rather than be the loving the passion of how I look. But there's now categories for girls that can go, this is how I look, come enjoy me. And I'm like, okay, you can go there, you can have your thing, as long as kids don't see it. I don't mind that. As long as the kids don't see it, we're good. And that was a thing for a long time. And now they're also be adding policy to these new things where if you're playing a game, the game cannot be solely focused or fixated on sexual acts or sexual things. Like you can still play Witcher 3, which has sexual scenes in it, but the game is not about.
Oh man, you mean I can't play Sex Simulator? Shit.
No. So if it's a game that's focused on sex, you can't play it. Even though The Witcher is a very handsome and sexy guy, and you can definitely alert to him. You're not going to be playing that game for the sex scenes. It's just a bonus to the game. But at the same time, if you're watching a streamer play a video game,
it's a nice hard one.
if you're watching a streamer play a video game, yes, you can look at the streamer and go, dang, they're hot, but it's still about the video game, right? It's still about that. But if you just want, hey, I want hot, go to where it's just hot. And 18 plus is a good way of fixing who can play what. Now, on Kick, another platform, you can play those sexual games all you want. They don't really care. But it's not as big as platform as Twitch, and Twitch is not really enforcing age checks on kids or any adults on Twitch. You're not going to go on, hey, let me see your ID. It's just a yes or no. Are you 18 or older? And we're kids. We all have done it before. We've gone to pages before. You're going, hey, are you 18 plus? Yes. And you're not. You're not even close to 18. And they'll go right around that. So
how dare you assume I would do such a thing? I mean,
oh bullshit, we all did it.
I hadn't, bitch.
So, well, so what would be a good way? It's like somebody also said, like, what if you
I
just like
didn't.
blurred out the streams that are 18 plus, like on the thumbnail, like when you're looking for streamers, right, and you scroll down
Right.
and you see one of them just blurred out. Would that keep people from going to that, or would that be even more of an attention draw? Like, oh, it's blurred out. Oh, I want to
Well,
click on
it's
that.
going to depend. We're going to get into this whole thing. It's suggestive. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it depends on the person's point of view. Like me, if I can't see on the thumbnail that it's something interesting, I don't give a fuck if it's blurred out or not. I'm moving on. But
Okay.
there are gonna be people out there that's gonna go, "Oh, it's blurred out. Why is it blurred out?" You know,
Mm-hmm.
it goes both ways. It's just how it depends on what your priority is.
Like, what are you looking for, right?
Yeah.
It's what you're looking for, and if you know what you're looking for, because it's in its own little category, it makes it way easier. If I want to look at really subjective stuff, I can go online and I know what websites to go on. But if I want to go for watching a YouTube video, I know where to go watch videos at. If I want to go look up some information about,
Spam call.
some anime, I know what websites to go to. I know where to go. And Twitch is like, okay, they're just everywhere, right? They're on video game category. They're on just chatting. They're on hot tub. They're on IRL streams. They're everywhere, right? All these 18 plus streamers are in every single category in every single thing. So should it be just a wild wild west where all those 18 plus go everywhere, or should it be more centralized into one goal, one area? Stephanie, let me get your opinions on that.
Okay, so he's saying, should it be left where it's Wild Wild West, where you have these people that are doing this and they're spread out over everywhere? You know, hot tubs, real life, all these different locations, or is making a central place to put all those people better?
The thing is they're not going to. Honestly, the best thing is to put them in a central location so if someone is hunting that, they can go find it. However, this is the big but. It's not going to happen. There's several reasons for that. A, they have no way to enforce this at all. B, it don't matter if we tell them to go to the central location. They're gonna go where they think they can get the views. And if that means that they're having to compete with other people in this one central location, whereas they could possibly use a different way to try to get those people, because, that's not what they originally looked for, but hey, it's right here in their face.
Yeah.
They're not gonna stay in their hole. That is not what they are.
They're not going to drive in their lane.
Yeah, someone's gonna try to break the rules, and then if it gets popular or if it gets big, then more people will want to do it. It's like, oh look, this one category, I get a lot more attention here because either A, it's not as many people, or B, I'm not competing against many people doing the same thing, so I have more possibilities of being discovered or being seen. Rather than going to the category or to area where you are for sure to see a lot of the same stuff, and you're just another fish in the pond.
And
Or fish
that calls into question a whole different question. So if you're doing this on this platform to be discovered or be seen, what are you trying to be discovered for?
Well, people's arguments are usually because their view of it is like, let's be honest here, let's be front here. Most of those people are there to kind of advertise for themselves, to like kind of like give them a taste of their other content on another website. That's what most people say that they do. And I have done a little bit of research and went to certain people's websites, and yes, I can find their other content real easy. It's literally just either one or two clicks away, and I'm there. And it's it, if you're a person who knows how to use a computer, it's not very hard to find. So are they there to entertain people, or they're just like a billboard? Twitch is just a billboard for them to find new audiences, find new people that give them a taste of what they could find the rest of it elsewhere. And that's how a lot of people see it as, and I do see a lot of them do. Now, there is some outliers, though. There's some girls on there and guys that don't have that stuff. They're just there to be pretty, be sweet, and have a cordial conversation. But there's a lot of outliers too. So, um, like people that are doing it. So it's how can you enforce something that there's some people that are being good, but a lot of them are being bad.
And that's the problem. The problem comes from the fact that there's really no true way to enforce it other than immediate ban.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody wants to do immediate ban because, well, they're worried that they're going to lose something by doing that.
Well, money.
Right.
That and legal lawsuits.
Yeah, but it's, if it's one thing that I know very well, um, certain content sells, and that certain content sells good. Well, you don't want to get rid of that because that's profit you're making as well. And why get rid of it when you can just adapt, just learn how to move it into your thing and overcome it. And I am a person that I have an idea, but doesn't mean what my ideas will come and just work. But I believe they should start throwing darts and just see what works, see what happens. Don't try to work on eggshell because like their old rules were so vague that girls and guys could do anything and be like, well, it doesn't say on there that they're breaking the rules, so it's fine. It's fine. No one really understood what was the clear cut and dry. This is what you can do. This is what you cannot do. And now they're cutting it more dry. So I'm like, that's good because then no one can complain when someone does that. Like someone's twerking on stream. Like it's not. It literally says it's okay on the policy.
I will say this. And this is something that I have stated before. They are having, the reason why it's happening is they are having a harder and harder time because it is slowly becoming more socially acceptable to be more sexualized, which is a good thing. It means eventually there's not gonna be.
It means eventually women can walk around topless.
That's not what I mean, and you know it. Eventually it's gonna get to the point where they can't just like, well, I'm gonna advertise over here because it's not gonna do them no good because it's not
gonna be out of the norm.
So eventually it should disappear, but the problem is that right now because it has become so accessible, they're like starting to get desperate. Let's be honest, that's what's going on. They're getting desperate. They are having to find other avenues now because there's so much fucking competition.
Yes, a lot of competition.
So they're getting that desperate. Eventually, that means that market is about to collapse.
Yeah, because when you have so much of a good thing, you're gonna be. It's like a beauty pageant, right? It's eventually you're gonna start weeding out anything, or it could be like a pet pageant. The prettiest dog will mostly come out, and it's really hard to get in there. And if you're a gamer, it's like who's the best gamer, right? Who's best at Call of Duty? Who's best at Modern Warfare? Who's best at anything? They will come to the top.
This is true, but until this collapse happens, and I foresee the collapse happening, just maybe not in our lifetime. But that collapse will eventually happen. When that happens, then what this was originally for will come back to what it needs to be. But as long as it's taboo, as long as people are willing to pay for it, it's gonna be a while. Sorry.
It's one of those things where you always want what you can't have.
Yes. This past week there was actually a big up story about a guy that's spent over supposedly. Let me tell you a story. There's a big OnlyFans girl, and she took a picture with one of her fans that she alleged had spent over $65,000 or $6,500,000 on her and on her page, and there was apparently like like stalking her, and like she showed off messages that they had with each other, and how he was like, almost threatening her, being kind of like crazy guy, right? Which there's some guys out there that I'm sure that are a little bit off their rocker for some of these girls. And she and her her page blew up after that, right? But this guy's life was like, everybody saw a picture of him, and they saw how much money in the text, and it's like, oh my god, this guy's crazy. Then the guy got on the podcast the other day going, yeah, that was all a setup, all of it. Like, no, I didn't spend that much money on her. No, I'm not a big fan of her. Why would I have her number? It's like, was that real or not? It's hard to tell. Is he lying or is she lying? And it's just so weird that that community is just kind of bonkers. And I could totally believe someone to spend that much money. I could totally believe it. But if not, it's really good publicity, I guess.
All right, so now let's get to a topic that I know something about that you hadn't been able to see, so you don't have a whole lot on it. So let's talk about Yu Yu Hakusho live action.
Okay. So Yu Yu Hakusho, it was originally back in the 90s, aired in America on Toonami, and it was a TV show, if anybody's not watched it, based on Japanese culture and I guess, what do you call him, a high school bully? No, he wasn't a high school bully. He was a high school gang member of some sort, right?
No, he wasn't really even a gang member. He was just like a rebel. He was him own self. He didn't travel with a group of people. They didn't bully people. He didn't like being told what the hell to do, basically.
Yeah.
And he did what he wanted to do.
Yeah, and he had a bit of a unique circumstance happen to him where he was given almost another chance at life, but in a different way at the same time. And this show has the main character, and then it has I wouldn't call her, I guess she's another second main character, but he dies, and he goes on an adventure. So they now done, was it Netflix, right?
Yes.
Netflix has now done a live action of it, and a lot of people were skeptical of a live action of this TV show because there's a lot happening in this TV show where it could be pretty hard to portray what a cartoon can do.
It's absolutely difficult, and it is evident when you watch it. I won't say to Jane, I've not watched the entire season yet, but I've watched a couple episodes.
Okay, so beside the story, I'm going to ask you this first question. Beside the story, how are the characters' looks and betrayal coming to you? Like, how are you feeling that part?
So, I think the guy that they picked to be Urameshi, he looks like Urameshi, and they did a great job with his outfit to match that little green suit that he wore all the damn time. Fantastic job. They tailored it good. I think they did a good job on picking him.
Okay, because some people had a problem with I don't know if you've seen it before, the Cowboy Bebop movie or live action, where the main actor or the main character was played by a much older gentleman, and everybody knows that Cowboy Bebop's main character is very young. Like, he's in his early 20s when he's doing this in the anime series, and they got a guy that's closer to his 40s doing his character, and it looked kind of weird. So the outfits, how are they, like, okay, my main thing always for adaptations are always the wigs. Wigs are always
I don't think they did wigs on Urameshi, and the reason I say that is there are scenes where he's fighting. And in a live action situation, you know as well as I do, if you got hair, that shit gonna flop around, right?
Yeah.
There are scenes where you legitimately see his hair flopping around and moving because he's fighting and shit. It makes it realistic, okay?
Yeah.
It does. It's not a wig. It is not static. They did this. Kurabara, they did it the same way. Now his pompadour is not like out here, you know, but he's got like a little small one right here. And even his hair moves around and shit when he's fighting.
You don't think they're wigs?
I do not think Urameshi or Kurabara's are wigs. Now, I think the guy that plays Kurama,
Mm-hmm.
I think his hair is a wig.
Okay.
I
Can you
don't.
tell the difference?
I don't think He-Haze is a wig either.
Okay. So, I know the hair is normally like very bright because anime characters, to make them stand out in anime, they normally give them very vibrant color. Not natural colors, but
right.
very vibrant colors because they want the characters to pop, to stand out, to have their own unique flavor to each one of them. Because, be honest with you, bland black hair for all characters or brown hair on all characters
Right.
don't really much give you a
Yep.
sense of
So
individuality.
How dare you,
now,
sir?
when you think about this, when you think about this, Urameshi had dark hair.
Yes.
So did He-Haze. So theirs was easy.
Yes.
Kuwabara's, he had that pink hair. It's fucking pink in the anime. It's pink in
Yeah.
it's pink in the live action.
Orange.
No, that wasn't Kuwabara. Yeah, no, Kuwabara's was orange. That's right. Kurama's was pink. Kurama's was pink, and it is pink. Kurama's is pink. Kuwabara's they didn't go orange. They did more like a what you would consider blonde, because it's more realistic.
For somebody who does not pay that much attention to it, I corrected you on that.
It looks good. You did good. They got the gray right on Genkai. It's not bright gray, but it is the gray that you would expect. Yes. So they did pretty good with like hair colors. Even Yukina, because Yukina had that weird kind of turquoise tealish blue hair. It's that color. No doubt.
They definitely matched that, but they didn't do the redhead on old Kyobara, or not Kyobara.
Kurama?
Yeah. So that might make some fans a little upset because honestly, like, I don't mind blonde, but the redhead was definitely a icon for that character.
Kurama's hair was pink red. Kuwabara was orange or red.
Yeah. It was like a redhead.
But they did it more of a blonde, and I understand it because it makes more sense with him being a human and him being a high school student. Okay?
Yeah.
But
it made him look more American too, so
yeah, so it was they did all right with, I think they did all right with like outfits and hair. Now, a couple of the facial features, specifically, mostly the girls are what's off for me. So like, and the accent for Botan.
No, his hair is red.
That's pink, to me.
Wait, they do accents for characters?
Red.
No.
It's a burgundy. It is
okay.
red.
Okay. It looks pink to me, but it's a burgundy red. They matched it okay. It looks okay. What I'm saying is like Botan, she had like an English accent in the anime.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not there. Because she's an Asian girl.
Yes.
So there's no English accent. Okay. So that throws you off a little bit when you hear Botan talk, because you're used to hearing that in the anime. And the girls' facial features aren't quite as long and narrow as you would expect because of the way Botan's facial features were in the anime.
Yes.
What I can't remember what the other girl's name is. Urameshi's crush. What was her name? Keiko.
Okay, Keiko. Yes.
So, Keiko had that haircut right here.
Yes.
But I thought, and since we're on color, you can help me with this. I thought
that hers was pink too, not gray, and I was right. It is.
Yeah, you're right. So, but if you look up Keiko's hair to me was more of a light brown color.
It's just brown.
In the show.
It's just brown.
But in the live action, it's dark, like Urameshi's.
Yes.
Okay, so they kind of were off with a couple things they were on with. Like, they did good with outfits, they did good with some hair wasn't. They did good with facial features on some of the casting not so much. Okay, but that didn't bother me that much, to be perfectly honest. The biggest thing that you have to look at is you have to understand that they're condensing a very long anime into a short live action.
Okay, so can you tell me, without people really, well, those who watched it, I know they started from the beginning, but what about, like, how far do you think they got into the series that they stop it, just in case they got a check mark for a second season? Because, like,
listen, I'm at the point he's fixing to throw down with Big Boy.
Okay, because, like, One Piece, they didn't know they were going to get a second season, right? No one never knows they're going to get a second season because they got to see how popular it is first. And so they try to condense as much of the anime without going to the very, very end, of course, because One Piece is still going, as much as they could within, like, 5 or 6 or 8 episodes, which is not a lot.
What I see happening, because I've watched quite a few, you're going to get all the way through the tournament fights. He's going to...
So you think they're going to the tournament?
What they're kind of doing a tournament anyway. Not really. They changed that a little bit. They had to, because they had to speed the storyline up to get to where they were going. So they had to change a few things along the way.
Did they change the arc where he goes into training and he goes through that little like trying to see who gets picked to be trained by?
Yes, they did change that. Okay, but
that's my favorite part. That's like, I like the tournament, but that was
they changed that, but they also added something that you only heard about during that time. So, there's a point where Kuwabara reveals he can use a spirit sword. And all you ever hear is he did some training with Genkai. Well, they actually put in there what she made him fucking do.
Okay, so they might have added something from the manga, because I have the manga, so at least...
They added that in, what he had to do to master it. They kind of sped the timeline up a little bit about Urameshi getting the spirit wave. Because if they didn't, then when he got to Doofus, he wasn't going to have it. You understand? Because they're trucking along. Okay? They changed a little bit with, there was a point where Keiko was abducted by Hihei, remember? And controlled to attack Urameshi.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Well, they made a little rearrange there because of some of the changes made to focus Urameshi on the brothers. And what they did is they had the younger brother, the one that can change and make his body all kind of weird shit, he impersonated Hihei and took her.
So the conflict between Hiei and Urameshi never really
comes
it
about. Happens. They throw down. And Hiei attacks, Urameshi attacks Hihei anyway, thinking that he's the one that took her.
Oh, okay.
There's still a battle with the two of them. It's not as grandiose as the anime, but they still battle.
Yeah, because it was a way of introducing him at the same time showing off what he was capable of doing with his.
But at the end of the day, what ends up happening is Kurama shows up and explains, "Hey, I know where both your sister and your girl is. Y'all need to stop fighting, because the fuckers that took them impersonated your ass to get your ass to fight with his ass." Basically,
Okay.
So, and then when that shit don't work out is when Mr. Big Bad with the plan, the one that has the plan with the long dark hair, that's when he sends them an invitation to come to the island.
Okay.
And instead of an all-out tournament, it's more like a gauntlet. So, but they all still fight their respective baddies.
Well,
Yes.
technically speaking, it is similar to where they have to go up anyway to rescue the sister. That's where they're
Right,
at.
right. It's they
Part.
took part of that. You remember where they went to rescue Yukina from the mansion?
Yes.
They kind of took that storyline and tweaked it a little bit so that it kind of follows that on the island. And instead of a tournament, you have a gauntlet. Because they're trying to speed to the point where he's fighting Big Boy. And I literally was at lunch today watching part of one of the episodes, and where I stopped was where Big Boy was going, "Oh, I'm only going to do like 30% with you right now, Urameshi." And he goes, "Dum, dum." And I'm like, "Oh, damn, I got to go back to work." The fuck?
So, yeah, like for a lot of people, the tournament arc for Yu Yu Hakusho show was the start of tournaments in anime. Because Yu Yu Hakusho may not have been the first, but it was definitely one of the most well-known animes out there that did a tournament arc. And the build-up of these characters going through this, I would say, gauntlets of other baddies from this plane of existence to see what they're capable of and overcoming their problems and their own challenges along the way. And that was such a that takes time. That takes character development.
Right, and that's why they had to kind of chop it up a little bit, move some things around, because there's no way they'd get through that in a live action season. You know.
Yeah, and that's what someone always had a problem with live actions, because they don't get to see that in a live action. There's always having to be some kind of changes to.
And I'll be honest. There's going to be a lot of super fans for Hugh Hugh that's going to throw a fucking fit. They are going to raise hell. I like Yu Yu Hakusho, but I'm not a super fan. I can look at this from the perspective as, yes, it has the same characters. It has the overall same story, but it's its own thing aside from the anime. So I expect certain changes and stuff, and honestly, yeah, there's some changes. Do I like them all? No, but am I enjoying the show? Yes, I am.
So this is another one of the situations for One Piece. Director even said it, even though they're working with the original maker of One Piece, so they're having to stick to certain guidelines and rules and to the story that he says. They're also saying, like, this is still another universe of the same story that you became, or your beloved story that you've come to know. And this could be the exact same thing, where it's still the same characters, still the same story, still the same outcome, but how you got from A to B is
a little bit different. Yeah, it's a little altered. Like you still have the 3 items. You know, the 3 items that were stolen.
Yes.
But it's a little different on how they're retrieved. Now, one of them still gets retrieved peacefully, like it did. Okay. The first one is still a slobber knocker of a damn fight. The third one, I'm not real sure how that was going to go, because it ain't been resolved yet.
Still haven't got it back.
But I will tell you, you see some of your favorite techniques. You still see those.
Okay. I'm looking at some of the pictures or the cuts of the live action. Where's Granny at?
She's there. She's there, but she ain't there long.
Oh, I like Granny.
Yeah, well, like I said, they had to speed up the arc to give him the orb, right?
Yeah.
You know what happens after she gives him the orb, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm telling you, she's there. They do some training. Some shit happens. He gets an orb. And then...
she's gone.
You know. But
man.
The fucked up thing is you know how in the anime, Urameshi knew. He's seen her pass, right?
Yes.
They've kept it a secret in the live action.
Huh. Okay.
So
Maybe.
I'm thinking the way they're going to do the arc for him to, you know, how he's supposed to get this certain influx of I'm a badass, you know, to be able to take on Tajoro. I think the way
Yeah.
they're planning to arc this so that it happens is they're going to drop at the last moment. Oh, by the way, this happened.
Yes. Okay. So, this would be a live action if you are not a fan of the cartoonish, as some people would describe it as, even though it's not a cartoon, it's an anime. There is a distinct difference in art style and theme of stories. Um, this is something that someone that is not a fan of that kind of trope could go and watch and enjoy, and still have the unique experience, but still have a way of like connecting it to the original story.
Right.
I still say, even if you watch this one, that's the problem with older animes, that they do drag on a little bit at times, but that drag on gets you more time to experience the character and their growth and the reason behind they think the way they think, they act the way they act, and how they come about to be who they are in the anime series, that you might not be able to get from a quick telling of a story of a live action.
Right. They like I said, I understand that they moved some of the pieces of the story around, changed it a little bit so that things flowed a different way so you could get from point A to point B faster. I get that. Just understand that if you're looking for it to be a one-to-one, it is not. It's
Yes.
You need to watch this as if you're watching a totally different version of Yu Yu Hakusho. If you can do that, you will enjoy the shit out of it.
Yeah, you can't. I would even say for those who have watched it in the past, just to get yourself a clean way of looking at it, don't watch the original first, then go watch the live action. And if you want to go back and watch the original, then you might be able to, like, okay, I see what they changed, but you still be able to enjoy
Like
what it is.
for me, I knew that this was going to come up. I knew we were going to end up talking about it, wanting to review it some. So I did actually rewatch the original before I started watching this. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's fresh on my mind as to some of the things they changed, some of the things they didn't. Like they kept certain things, pivotal moments in there, but they might have tweaked it a little bit so that it worked out better for what they were trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So the overall story is the same. Just understand that the journey from point A to point B is going to be a little different. You know.
Okay.
And that's all I can say. I enjoy it, but I'm not a super Yu Yu Hakusho mega fan, so I'm sorry if mega fans for this show doesn't like it. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that the characters still have their traits and they still stand out. Looks of an anime or in live action can sometimes be a hit and miss. Like, for example, Full Metal Alchemist live action. It was the characters and the costumes just like immediately pulled you out of the story. Right? It did not feel like they were that character. It immediately just right out of the story, all you could see was the characters and how poorly they looked and they dressed, and the story could have been good. I couldn't very much pay attention to it, but then I watched the story and I'm like, oh my god, they literally tried to put a whole anime season into an hour and a half movie. You just can't do that. But if they're learning how to immediately pull you and going, yes, that is that character. I want to feel that each time I look at a character and I hear them talk, and not just be predicated on whether or not they're the right nationality all times or whatever. I want them to sound like the characters. Like I still want that, for Kurabara, right?
Right,
Yeah,
I
the guy with the
agree.
sword. I'm always forgetting.
I agree.
But
So
he had that really good voice. Like, that was iconic for his character, but that was English, so I don't know how he sounds in Japanese.
yeah. So like I said, it's an English dub. but they didn't do like the British accent for Botan, and I think they chose not to do that because they realized people were going to see an Asian girl because she was supposed to be Asian.
Yes, it is an Asian.
But the problem is it's one thing in anime. You expect to see one thing and hear a different thing. But live action, your brain expects, I see Asian, I'm either going to hear English or Mandarin. One of the two. You know,
yeah.
And so when they did the dub over, they just chose to go with standard English. I get that.
Well, standard English with what is it? Standard English like me you in English, or English but with a Japanese accent, you might say too. Like,
I don't know.
It's
It's hard to tell because it's almost like some of the characters have a little bit of an Asian accent, but it's like some of the characters don't. I think that's the difference in voice actors. But it's English like me and you talking. Some of them have a little accent, some of them don't.
Okay. So I'm just like, there's just, I would just see, like, I would totally see it if it was just purely Japanese, it would sound Japanese. But if you take Japanese and then have them voice line English lines, there's a bit of a disparity, you might even say, because like there's some words they're just or vowels or they're not used to saying all the time, so you can hear just a slight change in how they pronounce an English word. They're still saying it, but just you can hear that the enunciation that is not coming out.
I will tell you, one of my favorite scenes so far. You remember this scene from the anime where they tell Toguro to go in there with the big monster.
They have that.
They have that scene, and one of the guys that is the onlooker's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Just hold up. It looks like a human and a monster, but really it's two yokai. Just chill."
Yeah.
And Toguro literally straightens his glasses like this and goes, "I think 30% will be enough." And then the thing jumps, and he's like, "One Punch Man."
Yeah.
And it explodes. And I'm like,
yeah.
Yes, that was beautiful.
So the CGI is okay. Is it CGI or is it CGI into like real life like makeup cosmetic?
Well, okay. So if it was a supernatural like the whip that Kurama uses, it's CGI, but it looks good. The beasts, obviously CGI, but they look good.
Yes.
But if it's supposed to be a piece of armor, it's a piece of armor.
So it's cosmetic.
Yeah, it's cosmetic. If it's supposed to have like a supernatural aura, it's obviously it's CGI. But they did pretty good on what they did CGI, what they had to do. That was CGI. It looks good. They even tweaked a few things that made it look a little better. So, like, for instance, you remember the orb that Goki has that sucks out all these souls, right? Instead of it just being a glass ball or something that he's toting around, it is a CGI orb that has ripples in it and pulses every now and then. And it looks wicked as shit. I'm like, I don't know how he's holding that shit.
Okay. So I'm just glad that they did this rather than just do purely just CGI and just cut the format of having to go through, sitting in a chair and doing a bunch of work on a person's body. They just like, just CGI on all of that, and a lot of fast-paced movement.
You remember Bowie? You remember Bowie?
Yeah.
The one with the big armor and everything? All that's armor. It's all on his ass.
Good. Because I want to see that they're still trying to portray some kind of realism to some things, but CGI can look good, but it can also look very blurry. It can be all it can be washed. It can just look, rushed, right? Somebody didn't put a lot of money into it. And I get it's easy to do that, but sometimes just slap some stuff on the body and then paint it up afterwards, right? Make it look good post production. I'm okay with that, and I'm glad that for Yu Yu Hakusho show there is a lot of places for CGI, but there's still a place to have that
Like, I mean,
cosmetic.
they could have easily CGI'd that armor and CGI'd like Hihei's sword and shit, but
Yeah.
nah. Hihei's sword is a sword. Bowie's armor is armor. The axe is a giant fucking axe. You know, what should have been real, they made real. They only CGI'd the shit that had to be CGI'd. Like, obviously, Toguro, when he powers up, he's no longer going to look like a man. So he starts,
Yes.
you know, his muscles are CGI'd, but, and his brother with all that weird, funky ass body shit he does. But they did a good job on it. They did a good job. And
Yeah. I remember,
there's
like, old
there's
movies.
parts where Kurama's fighting that you lose when it's a real Rose and when it's a CGI Rose, because
Yeah.
you would have to get up there and really fucking look to tell, you know.
Like, I remember, like, old movies back in the '90s when people used like cosmetics for, like, morphing your arm into an axe. It would look so goofy and so, like, out of place. It would just almost look just
Okay,
nonsensical.
I'm
But
gonna try not to spoil anything, but I'm gonna say this will help you understand how much real and how much CGI they did. You know, Kurama transforms, right?
yes,
They did real and tail, and it looked fantastic. It was not CGI.
good, good. Glad to hear
Like,
that.
they literally only CGI'd what they had to.
hmm Like, if they could do cosmetic, they did cosmetic. But if they could not do it for any reason, they went to CGI. Okay, 'cause that CGI. I don't know how much it costs, but some people say it's cheaper nowadays to do that, and I'm just cheaper doesn't mean it always makes it look better. But if you can look at two roses and you couldn't tell the difference between the real one and the fake one, that's pretty dang good.
Yeah,
Netflix has the money, but Netflix also has the money to do 2 seasons of this show, and it wouldn't very much hurt them. But they just want to do 1 season and then see how it goes first, then do it second season.
yeah. So
And rush.
this is what I fully expect. I expect us to go through all the way through the Toguro storyline in this season, with the way they're having to write it and the way they're moving along. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I expect if they pick up a second season, it's literally going to pick up after that. Remember where all the insects get out? I think it's going to pick up at it's going to if there's a second season, it's going to be there.
Okay. And hopefully they will. Do you think they will keep on doing the pace of moving the story along, or do you think they will start slowing it down a little bit and start
I think
getting
that's
close
gonna
to
I think that's going to depend on how many seasons they're approved for, because sometimes they'll get approved for another 2, sometimes they're only approved for 1. And you know as well as I do, one way to really piss off a fan is not to have a resolution.
Yeah, that would be a little annoying, and it does happen. Just like any TV show, just like, oh, we get to season 5 and then cut it. Like, wait, it didn't finish though. Yeah,
Billy Bob's still locked in the trunk.
yeah, like, we don't see no reason. If you want to see how it ends, just go watch the original, right? It's just like, you don't need us to show you it, even though it's almost its own story at this point. Um, and of course, the deep fear of anybody is if they do continue it on, I hope they stick to the storyline. They don't change anything, even though some people do say you watch all of Yu Yu Hakusho show, right?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people were disappointed in the outcome of the main character, and the reason why he's so strong is because of his past family, and what they were. Not spoiling anything here, but a lot of people weren't very satisfied with that ending. They were not happy with it because the writer of the story um, had to quickly end the story because he's also the person that wrote Hunter x Hunter, which is another very popular combat anime or manga, and he was rushed to end it. And some people are like, hey, I don't like that ending. So they could just be like Attack on Titan, going, you know what, the manga's ending was bad, we're gonna make it good. And if they do that for the live action, I hope they make it good, because not many people were very satisfied with it. But
all right, so it looks like, buddy, we are at time.
All right. So that is it for this week. I do appreciate for those who are here. If you haven't already hit the like button, hit the subscribe button down below, and leave a comment what you're hoping for they do in live action next time. Do you think Twitch should, or any of the live action, or not live streaming platforms should be more precise with their ruling and their judgment of what is and what is not allowed? And if you want to see more, check us next week at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. Here the Bear Thoughts Challenge. As always, have a good day, have a good night, have a good life. Much love, y'all.
Bye, guys.
Bye. 1, 2,
2, 3, 4, 5.
Flash!